All right, chatting with Jeff Erickson, talking some fantasy football here on the program. We spoke as well on a Sunday. You were high on some players, including Victor Cruz, where you had just finished drafting him. Other than Victor Cruz, what do you like fantasy-wise offensively on the Giants in terms of their weapons?
Well, Eli, of course, you have to like. The question is, the guy that really has impressed so far in the preseason, and again, with the caveat that the preseason can serve to overrate a little bit, but the high pedigree guy has to be David Wilson, their first-round pick out of Virginia Tech. Looked really good with Ahmad Bradshaw out. Ran against got some first-team reps against the Bears' first-team defense. Looked really good in the process. He's got a lot of talent, and he's got some helium this week, I think. And if you look at the ADPs, if you look at people's rankings and such, I think he's been boosted a little bit. I wouldn't write off Ahmad Bradshaw, though, either. I think that Bradshaw's injury was minor. I wouldn't downgrade him at all. I think, if anything, the Giants are going to run just slightly more than they did last year, so I think both guys benefit a little bit.
Jeff, any reason to be concerned with the New York Jets offense not scoring a TD yet in preseason? Will that devalue a lot of these skill set receivers and Sean Green as well, and Mark Sanchez on top of that? Well,
it's hard to devalue something that's already low, but they're definitely looking pretty awful. And the big problem is their offensive line. You know, they've had problems on their line the last couple of years. You know, they've gone 4 years without drafting an offensive tackle. That kind of is inadequate, to say the least. So, I'm concerned about if I were a Sean Green owner or a Sanchez owner or San Antonio Holmes owner, I'd be concerned. All three of those guys are dropping like rocks in my drafts, which means they might provide some value, but you can get them super late.
Jeff, talk to me about the running back position with the Arizona Cardinals. Of course, Beanie Wells still in the mix there, very heralded, but he's had some challenges over the last couple of years from other players in that backfield. How do you size up the Cardinals' running attack?
It's almost a 50-50 call between Wells and Ryan Williams right now. I did an auction last night where we have this 12-team auction, but we start 2 running backs, 3 receivers, 2 flex. One of those flex can be a quarterback. So values are all over the place on this draft. It was a pretty wild draft, but Wells and Williams went for the exact same price. I think it's kind of if you're an agnostic drafter, you take what value is coming to you. You have to be prepared to accept Beanie Wells as a guy that's falling, because he will fall. I think that, remember, he scored 10 touchdowns last year. Problem is he just doesn't catch a whole lot of passes. So you always worry about those backs that aren't going to be in there on third down.
Jeff, we were talking earlier in the show here about the Buffalo Bills and, of course, the Montreal Alouettes actually picking up the rights to Vince Young if he ever wants to play in the CFL. We thought that was interesting. But in that running attack, where do you have Stevie Johnson this year? Middle of the pack guy?
Stevie Johnson's, yeah. I think he's provided some value. I see him go in the 5th, 6th round a lot. And he's the Bills' number 1 receiver on a team that still might throw the ball a decent amount. Good, talented receiver. I like him. He's got to be able. He's had some injury issues too. Kind of have to worry about that every once in a while. But yeah,
that and hanging on to the ball as well is another
and blaming
thing.
God when he doesn't try to hold on to it. But and by the way, don't lend Vince Young any money if he comes up to Montreal. By the way, guys.
All right. I'll make sure. By the way, I did say running back. I meant wide receiver. Of course.
Yeah, I was hip to your jive. We're good.
Yeah, Stevie Johnson, an interesting guy, that's for sure. 1,000-yard wide receiver in the NFL. You can't knock him too much. Elsewhere in the NFL, in terms of fantasy football, we'll throw one more question at him. What do you got? Mo, Stefano, anybody want to throw one more? Go ahead.
Yes, Jeff. I want to actually talk to you about the NFC North, in particular the running attack of Michael Bush, and of course, the name's blanking on my head right now. Matt Forte. Thank you very much. Yeah. What do you foresee happening with that? Of course, Mike Tyson known to be a run-heavy coach with his offense here. Do you think they'll split reps, or will Michael Bush get more red zone reps than Matt Forte?
Forte will get more carries total, but Bush, if Forte ever gets hurt, easily could be, good, solid second-tier running back, definitely startable. He's going to get the red zone carries. We know this. Forte will hardly get any red zone carries. He barely did in the past, and now that they have a really good, viable alternative in Michael Bush, I think that's pretty attractive. The other thing is in PPR leagues, I like Forte still, but in non-PPR leagues, I'm definitely downgrading him. I think he goes higher than he deserves to. Because he's just not going to get those red zone carries. So I think he's like an end of the second, beginning of the third round sort of back, and he's getting drafted end of the first, beginning of the second, just because of the paucity of good running backs out there.
All right, Jeff, I don't know what to do with this email we just got from Darren. Hey, Jeff, what's your take about the Packers' offensive players? It's the worst question I've ever been asked here on the show, Darren, but come on.
Worst? Really? It's been 10 years? How long have I been doing it on your show?
I mean, come on. That's like, what do you want to get him to detail 9 players for you? I mean,
that's let's talk about the running back position, because that's the interesting one. I mean, James Starks is presumed to be the starter. Now there's some buzz that he might even get cut. Cedric Benson's going to be the starter. At the end of the day, Cedric Benson might be the starter, but he's still a plotter. He's not going to be a guy that catches a lot of passes. He's going to be on a team that doesn't really emphasize the run. He's going, and he's going to come out on third downs. There'll be someone like Alex Green coming in on third down. So I almost think Alex Green is the play if you want to go really late. Wait for him to see if maybe he can take over late in the season, because Cedric Benson's one of those guys that if you need 2 yards, he'll get you 3. If you need 5 yards, he's still going to get you 3. I as a Bengals fan watching in the last 3 years, and there's a certain limited amount of upside he has.
Well, we should have been out of this break, but this is so darn interesting. Before we let you go, Jeff, obviously Adrian Peterson, everyone concerned about whether or not he'll be the same kind of dominant running back. What are your thoughts on getting the backup who did so well last year down the stretch, Toby Gerhart?
I've grabbed him in a couple leagues, even without having Peterson. I don't tend to tie up my roster with handcuffs. I'd rather speculate on lottery tickets and hope they take away the job. Peterson's going far too early for my liking. We're talking about pushing up running backs at the end of the first round, beginning of the second. This is one of those cases where I'm not willing to do that. I'd rather take one of the more reliable wide receivers. So, I like taking Gerhart. I think it's a reasonable chance. Everyone seems to describe this super ability to heal for Peterson. I don't know if it's necessarily there. I think people are just kind of wish-casting. And because of the type of injury he had, I just don't think he's going to be the same sort of back he was before the knee injury, at least the first half of the season.
The word of the night is wish-casting. Jeff, thank you so much. Rotowire.com website, Jeff_Erickson on Twitter.com. Any questions, anytime. Jeff's always happy to answer out there as well. Thanks so much, Jeff.
Anytime, Matthew. Take care.